For early access, become a member at patreon.com/road to Tarvalon.
Hello and welcome back. I am here with my good friend Tracy.
I'm here with my delightful friend Amber.
And this is the Road to Tarvalon. Today, episode 3 of Prime Video's The Wheel of Time. And we are going through the arches, starting off with Nynaeve Almira.
What a kickoff to the episode too. I don't really think that it was a super big mystery when Rafe was like doing the Q&A and he was like, we're on set and this is where we are. I think like all of the guesses that this was the arches were obviously correct.
Yeah. And it looked very much like I imagined as well.
Yeah. Maybe a bit brighter. In my mind, it was always like darker. Not that it was like super brightly lit or anything, but I was still like darker, which I mean can be a problem. So I guess I'm glad they didn't do that.
Yeah, you don't want a season 8 Game of Thrones episode
see
where
anything.
you can't see anything.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want that. I mean, there are a couple places in season 2 for Wheel of Time where I feel like it is just a bit too dark. Like they could have like given us a bit more lighting. This one, you know what? For what it is, it's perfectly lit. I'm not gonna get all wrapped up on like the lighting of a scene or whatnot, but yes, more yes than no. It was like what I had pictured in my head for the arches.
Yeah. I have mixed feelings about this episode.
Oh, I want to hear.
So first off, I think it was probably one of the most entertaining just from an action standpoint.
Yes.
Did you feel the same way? Like overall?
Yes.
So far out of these first 3?
Yes. This was the episode that made me gasp out loud. And I haven't had that happen yet. Yeah.
Which moments were your gasping moments?
Uno.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but when they're going through the whole thing and they're like, you will swear the oaths, and if you don't swear them, they'll be sworn for you. And I was like, well, that seems pretty light. And then they did what they did, and I was like, whoa.
The moment he pulled out his dagger, he didn't pull it out, but he showed it to Massima.
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, oh, he's dead. He's gone.
For.
They keep trying to pull him back and reel him in, rein him in. And I'm like, yeah, he's the one. He's the one who's getting it.
Yeah.
And
go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I did an episode with Christian and Kevin and Laura about season 2 expectations. And I said, who do you think is going to die? And Kevin was like, Uno. He's probably the one. It's so true, though. Like, when you look at the cast and you go off of that quote that Rafe Judkins has said, like, don't worry, next season, a lot of heartbreak. People are going to see people die and it's going to happen. For one, he shouldn't have said anything.
Right?
Because looking at the cast, there are not a lot of characters from season 1 that you can kill off. There's some Two Rivers people that are, for the most part, expendable. I don't say that to be callous or anything, but it's just, people here and there where it's like, well, if they died,
yes,
they die.
Yeah.
But from who we've met kind of later on in the episode, none of the Emmonsfielders are going to die, or the Two Rivers people.
Right.
Moraine and Land, they're sticking around. So let me preface this. We're doing full spoilers today, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Non-book readers, very sorry.
Very sorry.
But exit the building now if you do not want to be spoiled. You can't kill Liandrin off right away because she's very important in season 2 and with all of her Black Aja dealings. And frankly, like, she's not a character where fans of Kate Fleetwood, fans of her acting, that would be sad, but it wouldn't be like, oh my god, heartbreak, you're killing, Swan Sanche.
Right, yeah.
Or Moraine Domadrid. So Uno is the likeliest candidate from all of those, just because he's a bit of a fan favorite and his character is really fun. So as soon as he started grumbling, I was like, yeah, Uno, it was good to know ya.
Yeah.
I'm sad. I'm very sad that he's gone because he's just a fun character, but I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's more of like a stunt. I don't want to say more of, but he also does a lot of stunt acting. So I feel like this is a fitting way for him to go out. Like, getting an on-screen death is very cool. If I were an actor, that's how I would want to go out.
Yes.
Hands down.
Yeah.
No, like, just, I get written out of an episode, that's it, disappear, whatever. Like, no, I want to die, and I want to have a great death.
Yes.
And I thought he had a really fun death.
Yes. Almost difficult to rewatch for me. But that, I don't know what it was. I was just like, oh, and it's so brutal. It's such a brutal way to take somebody out. And with, like, I love how it's like, well, that's the end of Uno. You know, there's not going to be any, but he didn't really die, or somebody came in and healed him at the last moment. No, Uno is done. No
more fake out deaths. I'm over that. You're going to kill somebody, kill them.
Yes, I don't want to be guessing. Like, are they alive?
Let's not tap dance around the death.
Yes. I mean, and there is no tap dancing around this death whatsoever. When they first brought him out and it was like, if you won't swear the oaths and they'll be sworn for you, I really was not expecting them to kill him. Because I was like, oh, everything has been so, like, not necessarily shocking. And it hasn't been gentle either. But that, like, that shoving his face into the spike and then taking the foot and, like, slamming him down even harder, I was just like, whoa. They fucking did that. They just did that. That's how I felt about it.
I told you earlier, I think they missed the mark on this one.
Yeah? You want to expand on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, had it had been me, I was writing the episode, I would have put the spike through his good eye. Like,
that's right.
That feels way more hardcore. Like, the mouth thing, like, that works and stuff, but I mean, you have teeth and whatnot. I don't know. Like, put it through his eye. It's Uno, man. Like, it's his namesake. Right. He has one eye. It's Uno. Like, that. How did that get missed?
They didn't have you in the writing room, Amber. It's the biggest flaw of the Wheel of Time TV series. That's really what it is.
Okay.
Actually, speaking of, like, being in the writing room and whatnot, the Matt Min thing, are we just jumping all over the place for the episode? Is that okay?
We can.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
When Matt gets freed from the cell from Liandrin, and then he goes and he sees Egwene crying, and he's like, I'm not touching that. He goes back to his cell and he frees Min, and now they're off wherever they're going. I think when we were talking about, like, if there's no Tom in Tar Valon, how are we going to get people where they need to be? Who's going to be Matt's sidekick? And I think we kicked around the idea that it was going to be Min, and it looks like that's what's happening.
Yeah. Again,
mixed feelings.
Conflicted. Conflicted.
Yeah. What are you conflicted about? Or yes. What would you like to do?
For one, I assume Liandrin is just trying to get him taken by someone. Like, she's handing him off in a similar manner that she did in The Great Hunt with Egwene, Nynaeve, Elaine, Min. Now, by Liandrin's acting, and I mean Kate Fleetwood's acting, the way that these scenes have gone out throughout this episode, it seems like she thinks, okay, well, I got rid of Nynaeve, but there is this moment where she's putting the ring in the molten ring thing, the same set. It's almost the same set from, like, Rings of Power.
Oh my gosh, you're right. You're right.
It feels like that a little bit. That's totally fine. I don't know why I'm sidetracking on that.
That's okay.
But she seems upset. She does seem that she has some feelings about what happened to Nynaeve. Yeah. Like, she didn't want this, but she was put in a position where she had to do it. Yeah. And again, I don't know what Liandrin's motivations are. Obviously, she is Black Aja. Is she doing this for power? Is she doing this because she has a son and someone is, like, holding it over her? I don't know. I would like to see more background with what's going on with Liandrin, what her motivations are, why she's acting like she's acting. Now, that could definitely be coming. But when we go back to Matt and Min, first off, I'm conflicted because Matt really has no redemption at all
Right.
in my eyes.
Yeah.
This scene where Egwene is like broken, just watched one of the people that she cares about most after losing Rand.
Yep.
Nynaeve is dead
Mm-hmm.
as far as she knows.
Yeah.
And Matt's just like, oh, well,
Not touching that.
I'm just gonna spy on her for a few minutes while she's crying her eyes out and then like tiptoe out of the room.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that there will be like a big Matt redemption arc here at the end. And I'm going to make a prediction. I don't care if it's Looney Tunes. I don't care. But I think Matt is going to go through the portal stones. And I think in the portal stones, he is going to do a bunch of awful, awful stuff. Like in the book, he apologizes profusely to Rand.
Isn't he crying?
After the incident with the portal stones. Yeah, like it makes him sick.
Yeah.
Like he's distraught.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if he goes through the portal stone and he has a bunch of flickers of his multiple lives or alternate lives or parallel lives, whatever they might be, of him doing horrible stuff and hurting the people he cares about. And like, this is something that changes him. Because we also had that vision from Min where she sees Matt killing Rand.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And unless it's like a mask of mirrors thing and someone is like pretending to be Rand, which that feels like even more of a stretch for me because Mask of Mirrors, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if we've ever had a character who can actually appear as someone else. You know what I mean? Like they can change their appearance, but I don't know if it's like, can you change your appearance to look like a real person that's also out there in the world?
Yes. Yeah, actually, I just thought of one. Elsa Grinwell in,
okay.
I think book
Good.
2.
Good. Yes.
Yeah.
You're right.
Liandrin poses as her. So I think it is possible. But what...
You mean Lanfear?
Yeah. What did I say?
Liandrin.
Okay. Lanfear.
Same L. LL. It's okay.
So many L names.
No, thank you. You're right.
Yeah.
So that would be possible. But I don't know. I mean, unless it's a Shamael pretending to be Rand, maybe that could work.
I mean, unless he wasn't dead when in the vision when Matt starts to lower him, because I would think death would like cancel out the weaves that would change the appearance.
True.
Yeah.
Like the weaves would fall when you're dead.
Yeah. Okay, so your flicker thing, like the idea of Matt stepping through a portal stone, what I was thinking of while you were talking about that is portal stones, in the books anyway, require channeling. Rand is not around. However, Moraine and Varen and Adelaus are all right next to Valon. And it sounds like Varen's actually going to go to the tower. She's going to go through the library and find some information out. Do you think they're going to get them all connected? Like Varen's going to come back and she's going to be like, guys, we need to get to this one place. We got to go fast. This is how I propose traveling to get there. And somehow Matt and Min stumble across them and Moraine's like, you're coming with us. Like, do you think that that's a possible route? Because I'm trying to think who else would do the channeling for them to use a portal stone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's probable. I don't think Moraine will be a part of it. I think Moraine will end up with Rand. And Varen would be the most likely candidate to end up with Matt and Min if they end up using the portal stones.
Yeah. And really it makes sense because like Varen is the Aes Sedai in the books who's with them while they're traveling by portal stone. Like she has information about it. She kind of guides Rand when they're all going to Falma together. I mean, it would be possible to like bring them together and like kind of line up in a way with the books as well. I would love to see it. I would love to see it.
Yeah. You said this was your favorite episode so far. Why don't we talk about the high points before I get into some of the things that I wasn't a huge fan of?
Oh, okay, cool. I love that. Okay, so the first thing that actually pops into my head is, and this is, okay, so this is like a two-edged thing, I guess. I really like the scene where Shiriam is telling Egwene about Nynaeve. And I think why I like it is if you had, as a viewer, any doubts as to how Aes Sedai treat each other, what their definition of quote-unquote sisterhood is. It is not loving.
Or sisterhood, even.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not loving, not supportive. Don't talk about it. It's going to fade away. And I mean, if Egwene hadn't have like come across Shiriam like emptying out Nynaeve's room, Egwene just would have walked into an empty room. Like Shiriam's like, oh, this isn't how I meant to tell you. Well, no shit, because this is a really shitty way to find out that your friend is dead. And then the way that they handle it, I'm like, oh, yep, we needed to know that the White Tower is really a terrible, terrible, terrible place. And they're like, here it is. Even through the arches, when Nynaeve comes back out, it's either Leanne or Shiriam who's basically like, keep your feelings to yourself. We don't want to hear about it. And I'm like, wow, you guys are awful.
Yes, I am very happy that they kept some of these similar themes that come from the books, because a lot of the times it's like rah rah girl power.
Yeah.
Aes Sedai, very cool.
It's not.
But there is definitely two sides of the White Tower. Sure, it is a location where if you're a young woman, that power can become yours. And there is something empowering about it. But it is not a happy place in terms of like solidarity and
support,
and also like going out and making the world better. It is not this place of making the world a better place. The Aes Sedai and the White Tower can just steamroll and bulldoze and become puppet masters of whatever they want. They are at the top of the power structure in this world. They do not have to bow to anyone. Even if you're an Aes Sedai, like if you're an Aes Sedai meeting a king even, and I'm not even talking about the Amerlin, you can show respect to them, but you're not necessarily like on a level as like a subject would.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, it depends on the Aes Sedai. Like if they are a good person, if they go out into this world and do good things, that's because of who they are as a person and not because this is something instilled into them by the institution.
Yeah, that's true.
So yes, love that this little moment happened. And it was just really great acting by Madeline Madden and Kiera Coveney. Like I loved just all of those feelings that Egwene was portraying and showing. And it was a really, beautiful but sad scene. I had to wonder too, I know Shiriam was cleaning out her stuff, but I also wonder if Shiriam was doing a little snooping.
Oh, definitely. She had to have been.
She knows that Moraine brought these girls in. So what do they know? What do they have? Are there any clues in there?
Yeah. Egwene curled up against the door crying, like, really resonated with me. Like, I've been there. And I was like, wow, you are just, like, knocking it out of the park for emotions on this one. It was perfect. It was so well done. And, of course, I couldn't help but think of New Spring when we have, like, discussions of how accepted or novices don't make it through the arches, and then you just don't talk about it. And, like, how that one individual didn't make it through the test to become an Aes Sedai. And again, there's like a little bit of mourning shown for it. It's not like they really come together to try to process what happened or why it happened. Like, I just feel like if you're doing something and it's killing people and they're not coming back from it, maybe that's not the thing to do. That could just be me though.
Yeah.
The White Tower has one of those little signs. It's like number of days since the last death.
It has been this many days since the last death.
Every once in a while, Shiriam walks over and flips it to 0 and is like, well.
Oops.
Oh, that's so dark.
But that's the thing. Like, we've learned earlier on in the episode, like, the White Tower's numbers are dwindling. Or not in the episode, but in the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
This is why.
Yeah. You're shooting yourself
if there's
in the
any
foot.
Confusion.
Right.
If there's any confusion, this is why. But I mean, the other thing is, too, is, like, they don't, if we're looking at the books, like, and I'm not comparing the two, but I'm just saying, like, in general, they don't know what those arches are. And at the very beginning of the episode, we get a lot of exposition, like Terran Grial, they work like this. These in particular work with us channeling into them.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how they say with Aes Sedai channeling into them,
Mm-hmm.
not channelers,
Mm-mm.
like we are the only
Just
ones,
them.
us Aes Sedai.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We are the only channelers out there.
That's right.
But,
That's right. That's right. They're so possessive of that. It's so short-sighted.
right. So like we have that exposition about the ter'angreal and how it works, but they don't really talk about the fact that they don't know what these ter'angreal are.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are a relic from the Age of Legends.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows what they were used for.
Mm-hmm.
The Aes Sedai have kind of just commandeered them.
Mm-hmm.
They're there. Nobody knows how they got there. Nobody knows what they were originally for and what the purpose of them are for.
Yeah.
But they're using them as a testing site.
Yeah.
Like they're putting them through this ultra virtual reality machine.
Yeah.
And if they die in there, they die in there. They don't know what happened. So it's a lot of talk, but not a lot of explanation. It's like, we don't know.
Yeah.
I do like that. I know that they're not going to say that because it fits their role. Like it fits their mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't know what they are.
Yeah.
But I would have loved like a little bit more. And Elaine does bring that up a little bit. She's like,
Yeah.
they don't work that way, but it's kind of like, but we don't know. Maybe she is in there and the turning of the wheel that she saw is a better life for her.
Yeah.
And that's why she stayed.
Yeah.
So like there is clues in there. But of course, for people who haven't read the books, it's like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, overall, I thought that exposition of explaining the arches was really well done. Like it wasn't boring. It was easy to follow. It felt
right.
really
It wasn't
clear.
long-winded.
Yeah. And it was like, boom, we're right into the testing within like minutes of it opening. And I mean, seriously, like that first time when she goes through the arches. Okay, so do they mention, like, do the Aes Sedai mention before she goes into the arches what each arch or trip kind of represents? Because I feel like in the books, they at least say like your past, present, future are like potential confrontations for you in the arches. And I didn't know if they had said that in the TV show. I don't remember.
I don't remember also.
Because it does. I mean,
well, it still kind of followed that.
Exactly.
Whether or not they said it.
Yeah, I liked that. Like, none of the images, none of the tests that she goes through are the ones that are done in the books. And I really liked that. Like, I think we had talked about how much fun it would be for them to just give us something completely different. And they did. I think the Two Rivers one maybe comes... Well, no, the Two Rivers one and the one with Lan probably come closest to the ones that are in the books. But that first one with her parents, I was like, whoa, this is totally new. And it's little tiny Nynaeve. Like, little, I mean, it's her. And then she sees herself in the reflection in the water and she's just a little kid. And I was like, this is so cute. And then they get attacked. And I'm like, what's going on? It was good. I liked that part a lot, actually.
Yeah, I thought it was very similar. Mm-hmm. Like, they changed little bits of it, but... her as a child, that fits much better than the Agenor, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. I mean, I thought it was, like, very close to the books. Like, not exactly the same, but the same overall idea.
Yeah, I agree, especially for, like, the last two. And, I mean, you couldn't do her first one again, like, in the TV show, because we don't have the end of book one to give us what's needed for her confrontation that happens inside the first arch in the books. And so like connecting it to something that happened in the first season, in the second season through the arch, because I feel like we have that moment where her dad's like saying that little prayer mantra with her.
Right. It's the same one. Isn't that the same one that Lan
translates for her? Yeah. So I was like, well, that's cool. Like, we get a little backstory on Nynaeve, which is never a bad thing to have backstory on your characters. And holy crap, such good acting. Like, I was cringing in fear for her when, like, that knife was coming down into, like, Nynaeve's shoulder. I was like, ah! Like, it was good.
Okay, so here's my question. They say the way back can come but once, but in her case, it came back on that last test. It came back 3 times.
Okay. That's going to go on my list of things that I was, like, not happy with. Because I felt like it was a trick. Like, if Nynaeve thought that she was out of the arches, why would she be looking for the archway again? It didn't make any sense to me. I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess, like, I mean, I'm sure you can kind of hand wave it and just be like, well, the Aes Sedai don't really know what they're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Which, it can happen,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's fine. But just, if they're going to include something like that,
Mm-hmm.
I would rather it not be open-ended. I don't care about changes, but I do want changes to make sense.
Yes.
So, like, if they can close that loop for me, I would be ecstatic. But I also understand why they did it, because it was kind of like, oh, like, you think she's back and she's leaving the tower. Oh, it's just a fake out. Like, that was a part of her vision. But if that was the case, I don't know why the exit would have showed up multiple times. And then I don't understand. So I'm assuming the first part of the third segment of her testing, her in the red dress, like falling through time, but like also possibly killing Lan. I don't know what that means. Like, I think it was just like, this looks cool visually, which it did, but I just don't understand what the meaning of it is, like, what the idea behind it was. Like, she's afraid of becoming the Red Aja and like hating men and killing men. It was a little bit cloudy for me. I didn't dislike it, but it wasn't like something I'm gonna put at the top of my list, because it wasn't quite all the way there for it just yet.
Yeah, it happened so fast, and it just felt really like, and maybe that's like the intention, like, it just felt chaotic and painful. I think that's really kind of what it's supposed to be getting across, so that's good. But I didn't necessarily I didn't feel satisfied after it. Like, I was just like, oh, that was weird. And now she's out. She just like pops out, like, no arch or anything. Like, that was weird. That was a weird one. Okay.
It felt like something that was added after the fact. Like, they needed a reason for her to come out of the arch, and they didn't know exactly what to do. So they were like, well, how about this idea where she just like falls through a wormhole?
Yeah. Put her in a red dress and
out.
Bring in a wind machine. We got this.
Right. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like, that was stupid.
Right, yeah.
I have questions about it as well.
And really, seriously, loved it when she was like, I'm not your sister. Yes, that was so good.
Yeah. So when she comes back, we get her going with Lan, and then we like move back to the point of view of like all of them just standing in front of the arches. It's like, well, I guess she's not coming back. And
yikes.
Liandrin gets yelled at, which I think is interesting, because Shiriam, considering who Shiriam is, I don't think she would care too much if Nynaeve doesn't come out. So, good acting.
On her part.
Shiriam's behalf.
Yeah, she's acting how she's supposed to in that moment.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Which is good, because it makes her less sus.
Right? I mean, seriously, Shiriam was not on my list of suspects when I was like, this person could be a dark friend and this person could be a dark friend. Shiriam, no. Not until it came out. I was like, what the fuck? Really? I'm so naive sometimes.
Yeah. So the Shan-Chen on Toman Head, we talked about Uno's death, but we didn't really talk about some of the overall, like, other things. Again, like, these are just some things that I have questions about. Loyal says that he's like, I've never heard of these people, which I'm like, what? You're right. Loyal knows everything about everything. Come on, Loyal. You're letting me down, bud.
Yeah, I think for this scene, it's so that, like, the mystery continues. Like, if Loyal doesn't know about it, then, like, ooh, the mystery. Like, I think that's what it's there for. Because I had the same reaction. I was like, yeah, right. Loyal's read everything. Like, but okay, for the show, I accept.
Loved the scene where the Dominate is picking the girls out of a lineup, because that is creepy, especially because they're all young. It's not like they're going through and like taking, you know, old men and like young men too. It's just these young girls, which has this major ick about it. And of course, nobody knows why.
Right.
Like, as a viewer who doesn't know, like as just a show viewer, not a book reader, it almost has some like Handmaid's Tale vibe going on. Like, why are they picking out these young girls? Are they like going to make them concubines, like slaves? What's going on? Like, it has that type of extra added level of terror to it, because these are like young defenseless little girls. So obviously, like, I think that was a good choice to put in there.
Yeah, and it's in the books too, like how when the Domine come through with the Shanshan, that they like grab every girl they can who can channel. And we've seen them do things in season 2 and at the end of season 1, like the Domine and Sildam. We haven't had them explained yet. We don't really understand, like in the TV show, the connections between the women who are like the woman in gray and the woman who's walking behind her. By the way, the collar and the bracelet, so cool. Like, what a concept to put together. But back to like and we can come back to that, but like the just choosing of these.
The collar and the bracelet.
Yeah. On the Domine, like she's got that gold. It's almost like it comes over her shoulders.
Oh, the collar. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and
see, the thing is like I don't even recognize that. Like, I'm not even drawn to it because I'm too busy looking at her face because of the mouth guard thing.
Yep. I think that's the thing that viewers are going to center in on. Like, I don't think they're going to really think a whole heck of a lot about what that woman's wearing around her neck and over her shoulders. Like, at this point, all the viewer knows is that might be an adornment of some kind, but that it almost reminds me of a very fancy pacifier, but like that piece that they're wearing in their mouth, like that says so much about who that person is, where you're like, mystery, what is going on? But then when I was looking at it closer, you can see the woman walking behind her has a bracelet. It's almost like a cuff, and the scroll work matches the scroll work on the gold piece that the Domine is wearing. And I was like, there it is. There's the bracelet. Found it. So we've got the collar and the bracelet.
Yeah, the costumes this season are really a step up. I really like them.
Yes.
Really like them.
Yes.
So when we get to High Lady Suroth and her voice. Okay. The sound effects of her moving her fingernails was such a distraction. I don't know why out of all of the things that was just like taking me out of it so much. And I was like, it's like a whip sound effect.
Yes.
Like whoosh, whoosh. And I'm like, oh, come on, guys. Like, her fingernails are not magic. Well, maybe they are. I don't know.
Maybe they are. Enchanted magic nails. Who knows?
I'm very sensitive to sounds, and like, it just, I don't know, if it was a little silly to me. But on the other hand, Suratha's voice, that actress, I'm pretty sure is Guy Roberts' wife.
Really?
So that's really fun that she gets to be there when he gets killed. But her voice is so much fun. I love that they did the Southern accent when they were talking about Luther Pendrag. But the way that she talks, I don't know why it made me think of like a late night prescription medication commercial. Like, are you tired of being sick and tired every night and can't sleep because you've got runny nose and itchy mouth? It's like this false sense of like everything's okay. Everything is cheerful and fine. But like in reality, she's like condemning someone to their death.
Yeah.
And it's like such a weird like mix of, there's this unsettling layer to it when someone is talking like that and smiling. And it's like, girl, you back the fuck up away from me. I do not like you. You creep me out.
Right?
Get out of here. Ugh. There's something wrong with this woman. And of course, like that's a good way to introduce a character like that, because you're going to be like, what the what? So I did think that part was a lot of fun.
Yes, I agree.
that southern genteel, like,
yeah, mojitos on
if
the
you're
porch.
not right, like if you're not from the South and you hear like, well, bless your heart,
right?
like you're like, oh, okay, I don't know. But like if you know what that means, you're like, oh, like that's like calling someone an absolute idiot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I don't know, there's something very false, nice, like that fake niceness with that Southern charm.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that Rafe Judkins had said that there will be that influence there,
Mm-hmm.
but I assumed it would just be like a word here and there and not like a monologue given with this Southern type of speech, like American Southern.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Yeah, I thought that they did a good job. I liked that they included the finger gestures. The sound effects made me think of either like a kung fu movie or an old western for some reason. I was like, it's a little cross between the two of them somehow. Like, that the whole wah 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 like could go right behind the finger gestures and it would be perfect. So
it was a little bit too campy for me.
Yeah, I can absolutely understand that. But I like that they included the finger gestures because it is something that's like a part of the Shanchen's culture. And like the fact that like nobles don't speak, they have someone who is their voice. Like that is a position within the Shanchen royal courts. It's a weird one to me. It's kind of cool. Like I like it in the books because it does help them feel like so different. So as far as like things that I really liked the set in Kyrian when Rand and Selene are at like this party.
Hands down, that was my favorite. Well, one of my favorite moments.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I am upset that it was as short as it was. If I could choose, I would have taken that and expanded it because for one, it was stunning.
Yes.
The costumes again were stunning.
So good.
The introduction to Moraine's sister was cool. Amazing.
Yes. And
that actress has been...
I finally watched Discovery of Witches. And so I had just seen her in that, and I had really liked her. And then I was like, well, it's you! It's you! That's cool. I think those costumes that they did brilliantly match up the idea of what has been said Kyrian fashion, especially among the nobility, looks like. Like, wow. I loved it. The detail on everyone's everything. I was just like, this is so cool. Rand's coat, the red coat. Yeah. Loving the costumes.
I think with this scene in particular, what was so nice about it is it really felt like there's a lot of identity in this story. Where in season 1, we're kind of introduced with the two rivers, Faldara, and then like we have like a couple like places on the way where the costuming very much mirrors what our two rivers characters are wearing.
Yeah.
So there's not this large scale in terms of culture. But with Kyrian, what is nice is like we get the foregate, that's fun and all, and we see that people there, it's still a little bit more in line with the two rivers, like the fabrics and whatnot. But it's also almost like cosplaying fancier cuts.
Yeah.
So we've got that where you can see like they're taking inspiration from the nobility because of course like they're going to be the trendsetters. But then when we actually get to see inside this manor, the wigs were so much fun. The lighting was really, really pretty. And just that scene where everyone's dancing and just the look of it all, like everything, that set design, costume design, all of it as a whole was probably one of the most beautiful interior sets that we've gotten so far in the first 2 seasons. And I think that's one of the reasons why I loved this scene so much. It felt very, very well done, a lot of attention to detail.
So much.
I'm like, oh man, like that all we're gonna get for Deus de Mar? Like, is
I
that
hope not.
all the I mean, Tom's coming back, so
Right.
like it can't be all of it.
Right.
But I just like that was it. Like they just hop in there, like all of that for a bottle of wine. Oh man, like
You know, Moraine is going to go to Chiron. Like, if she's going to try to find Rand and she's going to go to Chiron, perhaps we'll have another interior scene. Does it tell us in that scene where they are?
I don't think so, but I would assume that it is the queen. Maybe it's like
Okay.
the royal,
Like the royal palace, like the Sun Palace.
Right, right.
The thing that I'm wondering is, I think Lord Barthanes, is that the right person that I'm thinking of?
I don't know.
You mean you need more information than that? Okay, so I'm thinking about, we have a gateway that we've seen in the previews, or like the one preview that we've gotten so far, that we
Away
have.
gate.
Yes, away gate.
Yeah.
Yeah. That we haven't actually seen yet in the first 3 episodes.
Correct.
So perhaps we're going to have another longer scene at what's his face's. That's who I'm trying to think of, is the manor house that they go to.
Barthanes.
Yeah. So maybe we're going to have that with Moraine, and they're going to find the Waygate. Waygate. Yeah. They will find that together, and maybe this is how we get them from there to Falma.
Correct. In the books, the Waygate is located outside of a setting, and that would go really well in line with how in that last July, whatever, that Waygate scene that we got where it's like almost in a jungle. So like maybe they exit Lord Barthanes's manor and there is a setting that we get to see, which man, you know what? Like girl, give me a setting. Like give me a setting. I need that.
Yeah.
Like I need air in my lungs. It would just be so nice to see. But what a fun journey that would be, like exiting another one of these very regal, like beautiful interior sets. And then we're like, and now we're in this like fairy tale jungle forest landscape. Like that would be a lot
That'd be so
of fun.
cool.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We did also see in July one of those behind the scenes, whatever, another shot of Lan and Moraine walking on a beach. And even longer before that, there were instances where tourists found like a Waygate on a beach somewhere that they had posted photos of, like walking on the beach. What is this? So like we know that there's a beach Waygate. So maybe like Barthanes Manor to Stedding Waygate to Beach Waygate to Falma.
Yeah.
And it'll be Lan, Moraine, Rand together.
Do you think Alana is going to somehow be part of the crew that goes to Falma?
No.
Like Lan will just go off on his own?
Alana's going back to the tower.
But isn't Lan going with her?
I mean, maybe, but in those scenes from July, there's images of Lan, Moraine, and Rand walking together in a location that resembles Chiron. So I could see Lan going on his own.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering, is like, because I mean they've changed so much, so I think like they could potentially change it and make that Alana would be there too. But maybe Alana's gonna follow the Two Rivers storyline. She's gonna head off for the Two Rivers at some point for some reason.
I mean, I don't know. We might not get much more of her this season. Like I don't know if Falma and everything is like the latter half of the season and the girls leave the tower next episode, then I mean, who knows if we're going to see any more of the tower besides people leaving it.
Interesting.
think Alana will get more time to shine next season.
I really like Alana. I like the actress that plays her too. Like, I just think she's doing a really fun job of creating Alana as like a person.
I just think she's probably one of the most naturally beautiful people on this show. That's all.
No kidding. And so sensual. Okay, so the other part that I really liked is actually at the very end. It's when Nynaeve comes back. And it is heartbreaking to go through that with her. And when she comes out of the arch and she's like weeping, I'm so glad Egwene is the person who's there for her. Because we've seen how the Aes Sedai react to another person's emotional distress. And they just would have dumped a pitcher of water on top of her head and been like, well, that's that. You're unaccepted now. And instead, Egwene was there to hold her and let her grieve. And I'm so glad that that's how they did it in the TV show. Like, if they were going to make it aha, she's coming back, I'm glad that it was to someone who cared about her in such a raw moment.
Yeah, agreed. I love that it was her and Elaine there. And I loved the bonding between her and Elaine. You know, she yelled at Elaine and then what... I just love Elaine. Everyone knows this. I don't need to go on about it. But I love how she did not leave Elaine there by herself. She's like, I'll go get some blankets. Like, we'll stay here tonight.
Right.
Like, she's just such a good person. God, I love her.
Yeah. And even after Egwene yelled at her and told her to get out when she was in Nynaeve's room, and then again that moment towards the end where Egwene is trying to open the arches and Elaine is there and she's being so gentle with her, and it's so beautiful that her intention to become Egwene's friend overcomes the potential hurt and distance that could have been caused by Egwene's emotions. Like, Elaine knows Egwene is in pain, and that is why she's behaving the way that she's behaving, even though they've only spent like a day together, you know? And I'm like, Elaine, you're just gonna run away with this show, aren't you? You're just gonna be our girl we're rooting for. I want to be like Elaine. I want to be that graceful.
Yeah.
It's really sweet.
There's a lot that happened this episode. I want to try and touch on my favorite moments as well. And I think all of mine are very similar to what yours are, so I'm not going to go back over them.
Yeah.
But in the last test before Nynaeve comes out, I really liked having this moment back in the Two Rivers with Matt and Perrin and Lan and the daughter. Like, that was just really nice. Like, even though it's not real, I mean, it's real to her. One of the things that I would have loved that I know is not possible because there are only 8 episodes is that I would have liked to see more passage of time there to really drive home that she didn't just have this vision. Like, she has lived years in this vision. It wasn't just like, oh, like a dream, you know, where it was like, hey, I had a dream that this happened. It was like, no, she's been in there for years in her own mind, which I think would have really driven home the fact of like how terrifying it would be for her to come out of the arches and this child that she gave birth to and raised for years does no longer exist. And I think that is so heartbreaking and so upsetting. But with what they presented and specifically with Zoe Robin's acting, I think they did a really great job with that whole overall scene.
Yeah.
Just a side note, I love that the shift that they gave Nynaeve was quasi-waterproof when they're dumping the water on her. It doesn't go see-through. And I just love like that little like touch of something to probably make the actors feel more comfortable. And I just thought that was a really like great little touch there. So yeah.
You're so right. I hadn't even noticed that. But yeah. They could have very easily have made it that way, and then it could have been like sexualized. in a really uncomfortable way.
Right. And I mean, it depends on the person, right? Some people would be like, I don't care. Like, look at my body,
Yeah.
like,
Right.
sure. But that's not the case for everyone. So
Mm-hmm.
that does tell me that they put forth a little bit of effort in making sure that the actors are taken care of. And that's really important, I think, when dealing with film and creating something.
I think that's a really good observation. I feel like there are a lot of things that have been handled in a really thoughtful way throughout the show so far. It's been really nice.
Okay, so I'm going to get into some things that I have questions about.
Let's go.
Mat and Min. It is hinted that Min is working with Liandrin, and Liandrin says, if you do this for me, and if you succeed, Moiraine won't have anything over us again. Dun dun dun. What does Moiraine have over Min, that she can see the future? Moraine's not telling anyone. Like,
yeah,
she's not taking advantage of it either. So I don't understand that threat. And the way that she says it makes me feel like Liandrin told Min that Moiraine is holding something over her, over Liandrin. And like viewers know it's that she has a kid, but do you think Liandrin told Min that she has a kid? Like, this was difficult. And I'm sure that they were trying here to work out a way. With Barney Harris leaving, the Mat actor leaving, they had to shift things around. So I'm sure this whole plot is something that they had to rework to make it fit with last season. So I don't mind it, but I'm like, man, like, personally, I don't know how else they would do it. Yeah. But it's also like just an unfortunate probably side effect. And I don't want to pick it apart too much if it's not something that you can control.
Yeah.
But I probably would have picked something else for her to say in that moment.
The only thing that I can think of is like if Mat has been in a cell for what, like 5-6 months?
Right.
Then Min has potentially been imprisoned for close to the same amount of time, maybe just a little bit less because she would have had to travel from Faldara.
So Liandrin knew that Mat was scraping away, trying to, possum his way, badger his way. Did I say that last episode that they missed the mark there?
Called it badger.
Because she's who's this possum scratching away? They totally should have had her say this badger scratching away. But anyways.
It would have been much better. I love that idea.
Anyways, does that mean that she planted Min there knowing he was trying to escape and it was just like all perfect timing? Like I really want to know. Like it really it really bothers me that I have all these questions about it. And I don't mean like it bothers me like I'm mad about it, but just the way my brain is, I'm like, ooh, like I like clues here and I like mystery. And if it's a mystery that isn't really a mystery, then I'm like, oh man.
Because all I can think of is that Liandrin is just trying to have like a bunch of pieces on the board that she can move when and if she needs to. And so like potentially she's been like, we heard how she talked to Mat. She was cutting him apart with what she was saying to him. So we know she's got like the vocabulary and ability. She can verbally abuse someone. And so potentially maybe she's been working on Min in a similar manner. Because I don't think we're using compulsion at any point, though, either, are we?
It doesn't seem like it.
No, because I was like, Liandrin is one of those Aes Sedai who has like just a little tiny bit of being able to use compulsion, and she does. But I don't think that's the case here with Min. I think it's probably a lot of gaslighting and like psychological maneuvering of what Min thinks and feels.
Right. It feels more like psychological manipulation. But I also have questions because if Moiraine sent word to the Red Aja to pick up Mat, then like more people should know that Mat was there. Like it's not like it seems highly unlikely that just Liandrin would get the message and pick up Mat. Like, where's the Red Aja? What are they doing? Like, Liandrin's not the only Red Aja out there. So like there's just, there's just questions that I have about it, which I don't want to harp on it because it's really not like that big of a deal. But
yeah, but I love your questions.
I understand they're trying to work something in that was an unforeseen circumstance dealing with the end of season 1. So
yeah,
I might just have to quit worrying about it. But also, Perrin and Ishamael in the wagon. He's like, we're taking you to Falma. Actually, we're not. You will never reach Falma. And then he's like, show me. I want to meet the monster that you are. The wolves are howling. And he says, the more wolf you are, the more you're mine. And then he like lets him go. I'm so confused. So confused. Why is Ishamael letting this dude go?
It does seem a little too easy.
He's like, I'll be watching you. But like watching him for what? Like, does he think that he's possibly a male channeler? And if that's the case, he's a fucking Forsaken. He should know if Perrin can channel or not.
Yes. When Elias comes for the rescue for Perrin, it's just Elias and the wolves against a Forsaken and channelers.
Right. But Ishamael just like left, so...
Yeah, but did he like leave? I mean, it seems like it. If there's
he just walks out of the carriage, and then Elias comes in like seconds afterwards.
I think I just like let that. I was just like, oh, hooray, a rescue! That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know. Like maybe there's more like that will happen, more that will explain it later. I just can't think of why. So I'm gonna have to put a pin in it and wait and see. Maybe there will be more answers later on in this season.
Ishamael doesn't ever really, correct me if I'm wrong on this, and I very well might be, he isn't one of the Forsaken who's looking for the deaths of the 3 Ta'veren in the series.
No, he's trying to get Rand to join him. But I don't know what that has to do with Perrin. You know what I mean? Like, it's not...
I guess what I was trying to think is, like, if that's the case... No, because he already confronted Rand. So it's not like there's a question of which one of them is the dragon any longer. Maybe he's thinking that if he kills off one of Rand's buddies, it's not going to help his case in getting Rand to join his side.
But he's also goading Perrin. Like...
That's true.
He's pretty much saying, like, I'm the one responsible for your wife's death. So, like, I don't think he's going to... make friends.
That's true. He's not out there like winning this congeniality.
Right. Like he could have said other things that I feel like, I don't know, that would endear him to Perrin maybe a little bit. And also like he could have if it was more of like a psychological thing, like trying to get him to come over to his side, something like that, it could have been like kind of like leaning into chaos, right? Like, I didn't kill your wife. Your wife died because the world is a chaotic place and this respinning of the wheel and, like, this is just who we are. We just keep living and we all just keep dying. Wouldn't it be great if it was, like, different? Like, if things were different, if life was better. Yeah. The same scenario from Dana in season 1. So, like, there's other things that he could have done and said if he was trying to manipulate Perrin. But in this case, I'm not quite sure what he was trying to do. Scare him and then leave him? I don't know. Or scare him and then allow him to leave.
That's a good question.
See, and that's the thing. Like, I love this episode. This had so many moments where, like, I teared up. There were so many moments where I was like, it's beautiful, it's stunning, I love it. But then there were certain things where I'm like, questions. Like, overall, I really enjoyed it. I did. But this is probably, like, on the scale of things, my least favorite episode.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny. Especially since I think so far it's my favorite one.
I don't know if it's, I'm not saying that it is like without a doubt the worst. I'm just saying I think I'm harder on this one because of all of the potential, because there were so many things that were so great. And then the fact that I'm having like thoughts and questions about things, I'm like, man, if it was just like a teensy little bit tighter, like it would have, you could have knocked it out of the park with this one.
Yeah.
So it's more of like a frustration, not like I think it's the worst one. It's just the one that I enjoyed less because I'm having questions about, perhaps.
Fair.
And that's not to say when we get to the end of the season and things all is revealed, maybe I'll go back and be like, okay, I'll take it all back. Like, it does make sense. They're just, threading a lot of needles here, and it's going to take till the end until things are revealed. So I'm definitely open to that.
Yeah. Were there other questions that you had?
Rand and Logain.
Okay.
So this isn't any like complaints or questions, but it's more just like, is it possible that Logain is going to be the new Asmodean? Because obviously it seems like they are tucked away in the Foregate together for a reason.
Yeah.
For Logain to leave the White Tower and end up in Cairhien cannot be a coincidence.
Right.
And Rand finding him, him getting that job there, like, it just seems way too convenient. So I would assume Logain is going to take on a role of like trying to help Rand. But then again, like, maybe it's just a fake out where it's like, can Logain help Rand if he can't channel? I mean, I'm sure he can kind of mentor him, but Logain is off his rocker. He is not he's not in a good place. And he keeps this whole great hunt, the great hunt for Logain's Gildean Red is so funny to me that they like hinged this whole mission around him needing wine first.
Yeah.
Like,
barter system.
That's funny. Right.
Yeah. Okay, so if Logain is gentled, can he see flows still? Because I don't
I would assume.
Okay,
or he could at least feel it.
Yeah, because I can't remember. I feel like I should know this. Like, when you're gentled or stilled, like, can you still see what's going on? Can you still feel it? Moraine can. Moraine can still see it.
Right.
So I'm going to say yes. So with that being the case, let's say yes. Asmodean really couldn't channel a whole lot. Like, Lanfear wrapped a shield around him and everything, like, just let him have like a trickle of the one power, just enough to be able to like help Rand. So maybe Logain doesn't have to be able to channel as long as he can see the flows that Rand's working with. Maybe that would be how they would use him as a teacher.
Right. And I mean, even if you can't channel, I assume you could still teach, right? Like, you don't have to actually be channeling to be teaching.
Yeah, especially in this case, it would make it difficult. I mean, it's so much easier, I imagine, to be able to see what the other person is doing. Like, if you're a visual learner, like when Olanna is showing the novices how to filter their water, like being able to see how she pulls and how she like brings everything together, like that has to be more helpful, but it doesn't mean that it would be impossible to like.
Right. And I just don't think Logain can actually, like, he's not all there right now. Like, he's having some very big problems. So, like, can he even teach Rand? Like, is he in the right mindset to do it? I don't think so.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it's just dropping in the hint that Rand needs a male teacher and he's going to be searching one out.
Oh, okay. A little foreshadowing.
Right.
Well, and I mean, it's interesting too because he's his job is like a 2-for-1. He found a guy who's a blade master, and Logain could potentially teach him how to channel. So like those things where we're like, how are we going to get him to do this thing? Like, how is he going to become a blade master? Like, we're at least getting hints that he's like learning, teaching himself how to use his sword, and he's seeking a teacher for channeling.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Last thought that I have is on Rand and Lanfear's hate sex scene or whatever that was.
Hate sex arson scene? What?
She's like, leave the coat on. Right? That was a good touch, but still. Blah.
Yes. I was like, oh.
She is so gross. She is the grossest. Gross. She's such a mess. Mess-fear. And I love mess watching. Like, I do. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's a like a guilty pleasure. It's why like certain reality TV shows are just like, I can't stop watching. Lanfear / Celine is that person. This whole like sex scene was just, I don't know why, but it was disgusting.
Yeah, it really bugged me.
I had a very hard time watching it, knowing that like, okay, if you lie to someone about who you are and I mean, this is basically like a very, very well thought out scam on her behalf. He can't really consent to that, can he? Like when she's lied to him about everything, like if he knew she was one of the Forsaken, do you think he would be like, oh well, you know? Like this is assault.
I'm still gonna hit
like,
that.
This feels very gross.
Yeah.
And I really, really hope that I do not see online people being like, woo, like random Lanfear sex scene, so hot, because this is essentially assault. Like that's it.
You know that's
gonna
my
happen, last
right?
thought.
You know that's gonna happen.
If it does, I'm bleh.
I'm with you on it. It made me uncomfortable. Like it was hard not to like just skip through it, because that's usually what I do. Like during scenes like that I feel aren't done well and make me feel uncomfortable. I'm just like, I don't need this. You can get this part of the story across in a completely different manner that I would feel so much more comfortable with.
If the roles were reversed and it was a young woman being lied to by a man who's like hundreds of years old, like I think people would feel a lot less comfortable with it. Yeah. And that is a sad reflection on society.
Agreed. And I mean, I know when...
And that is my final thought.
Well, I mean, in regards to Lanfear, like we had been discussing like how they could bring her on screen and have her be someone who's not like a young girl in distress the way that she is in the book. And in this regard, where Celine is a grown woman, I prefer that for sure. However, the direction that they've taken it, where they're lovers, doesn't really sit right with me. I don't know why they made that choice and why it's been like this back and forth near violence between the two of them. They're together in like, what, 3 scenes? And 2 of the 3 scenes, one of them is pushing the other one around and then they're like, sexy time. And I'm like, it just... Yeah. So I concur.
Yeah, it's rough. It's hard to watch. But on the other hand, like, I don't know what they could do with Lanfear, to be honest. Like, I don't know how you could bring her in and not make her like creepy McCreeperton. Like, there's just very few options.
I think they could have brought her in as a mentor.
Wealthy benefactress.
Yes, exactly. Like somehow she stumbles upon him and she's like, I'm intrigued by you. Come with me. And there wouldn't have had to have been anything sexual about it. It could have been, they could have been having intellectual conversations around different things in Kyrian and the world and whatnot. And she gets him a blade master and he's practicing the sword. That would have been really cool. I would have sat for all of that.
Yeah. You know, it could have been like a lead up, but again, they don't have enough time to do that.
Right.
It could be like a lead up to where like she's caring for him in a way that feels really wholesome, where he has no one, you know, but this older, I'm not saying like she's an old woman,
right,
but this woman who is a little bit older than him has kind of brought him in, showed him the world, opened him up to things that he's never experienced, you know, being this outlander from this little sheep shearing village.
Yeah.
But it could have gotten to the point where they are, like you said, having these conversations and really getting to knowing each other. And he starts thinking he has feelings for her.
Right.
And her kind of being like, you know, like, I don't know. It could have been like a little less hate sex and a little bit more like a loving relationship, because that would have been, holy crap, what a mind
fuck. Yes.
Yeah, for him to find out that she's a Forsaken and he feels for her and he cares about her, instead of it just being like this sexual relationship.
Yeah, I agree. That would have been so much more effective in hurting Rand.
Right, and they could have like gotten it to the point where they almost take it there, where he's like, I'm falling in love with her, and he's ready to do that, and then I don't know. Yeah.
Oh my
Or
gosh.
her like lashing out at him being like too loving. You know what I mean? Like if he's, I don't know. No, because she wants that. So
There are parts about how they've done Celine that I'm okay with, but overall, I think it could have been done in a more elevated way. Like, sex just seems too easy, you know? Like, oh, we want them to be emotionally connected. How about they're having sex? Cool.
yeah.
You could do it in so many better ways where, like, it's not just the physical part of their relationship. It's like a growing
But that's
and
not
caring.
what the male audience wants, Tracy. That is not like this was.
You're so right.
These scenes felt very male gaze.
Yes,
for me.
Oh,
like,
1000%. Like huge
like
difference.
this, like rough sex.
Yes. And I mean,
Not a fan.
I think they were
Not a
trying
fan.
to like when Lanfear comes back and she pushes Rand up against the wall. I think what they were trying to do was be like, oh, look, a woman
Female
can do.
empowerment.
Yeah, fuck that shit. Sorry. Stop including things that are violent in sex. Like, we don't even know if they have a code word. Like, they're just pushing each other around and then going to town. Like, how do we know that? Okay, I could probably continue to rant about this for a while, but I won't.
Here.
Things I love, things I hate. I still think this one sits up real high. Like, I think this is my favorite of the three so far.
Hate sex. Hate it.
Yes, that is like so far. That's like at the bottom of my list of things that they've done so far.
Yeah, but overall, this was a really fun episode, and very excited for next week to see what happens with whatever the heck Moraine is doing, wherever she ends up.
Yeah.
And since we do know from that casting that is her sister, will there be a reunion?
Wouldn't that be fun?
Find out with us next week, and we will see you then.